Greetings and welcome to the 75th episode of Morrowind Modding Showcases. I'm your host Dark Elf Guy, and today we have another batch of 12 mods in 12 different categories for your viewing pleasure. And in particular, today we're taking a look at 12 modernized and redone mods. Now, to clarify a few things, the modernized and redone theme was chosen by our patrons. But it is a little murky about what that means exactly. Does it mean mods that are conceptually based on older mods, or mods that are specifically modernized updates on past mods? And does that include modern re-releases built towards, namely, compatibility? For the most part, I've chosen to interpret this theme as more specific modernized updates on old mods, but we've included a variety of mods in today's episode that it could potentially fit the theme here. One thing to note, this episode will include potentially multiple mods by the same authors, because there's notably only a handful of people who make it a point to modernize and update older mods, so by necessity, we'll probably feature them multiple times in this episode. In any event, we're now just accepting theme suggestions for episode 76, airing on June 13th, and you'll find a link for that just down below. Ultimately, our patrons will once again get to decide on the theme submissions and decide what topic we'll actually use for episode 76, so if you'd like to get in on that and check out our other rewards, such as early video access and behind-the-scenes content, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/morrowind. But anyway, down links and timestamps are just down below. So let's begin with our popular mod of the month, which this time around is Graphic Herbalism, MWSE, and OpenMW edition by Stuporstar and Greatness 7. You probably saw this one coming. I mean, with a theme like modernized and redone mods, there is simply nothing more popular than Graphic Herbalism. You'd almost have to be living under a rock to have not heard of Graphic Herbalism at this point, or just be new to the Morrowind modding scene, I guess, but in that case, have a fishy stick. But anyway, point is, this is just a completely redone and modernized version of the original 2008 mod, Graphic Herbalism by MWSE. The original mod by MWSE was massively popular, one of the most endorsed mods for Morrowind, winning a place in the PES Hall of Fame. And why was it so popular? Well, it made harvesting ingredients automatic, which, that wasn't the case in vanilla Morrowind, and made it so that when you harvested a plant, you could actually see that you harvested it, with flower petals visually getting picked or plucked, or the berries on cranberry bushes just disappearing. And as simple as that sounds, again, those are things that were not in the vanilla game. But as you might imagine, with a mod released in 2008, it was extremely script-heavy, caused major performance issues, and wasn't compatible with a ton of mods. Fast forward to 2019 with the modernized release by Stuporstar and Greatness 7, and most of the issues with the original Graphic Herbalism have just been fixed here, and pretty much any issue you could possibly have with it has just been, dealt with. Thanks to MWSE and OpenMW support, the old script-heavy features that caused major FPS drops are just completely gone, replaced with automatic support for every container plant in the entire game, including compatibility with every other mod out there, with automatic support for mods that, add new varieties of plant life to the game, like Terry Built or Skyrim, Home of the Nords, and there's also support for major graphical replaces like Epic Plants, so it works with pretty much everything. There's an extensive mod config menu where you can blacklist certain plants, from being covered by graphic herbalism, if you so desire. And unlike the original graphic herbalism, this includes visual changes to plants to indicate that they've been harvested. With full support for OpenMW and MWSE, this modernized re-release should work on just any type of Morrowind install, and is a vast improvement on the original mod. Chances are you're already using it, but if you're not, there's literally no reason not to. But moving on, for our House Mod of the Month, we have Domehome 2020 by Grumpy, Emma, and Zobator. The original Domehome is a bit of a classic. It was released in 2003 and added a new, Balathustrius-style player home to the skyline of Balmora, complete with, at the time, some revolutionary features. Now, I don't think we've ever actually showcased Domehome before. We did showcase Asgard, which is sort of like Domehome, and Domehome is arguably a precursor to Grumpy's Asgard, but I think this might be the first time that we're showcasing Domehome itself. In any event, this player home includes a number of features, with an armory, master bedroom, kitchen, bedrooms for the staff, a dining room, and an upper-level lounge. That's the basic bones of this player home, but what this 2020 modernized re-release does is, improve the mod for compatibility by removing all landscape edits, so it'll work alongside mods like Balmora the Awakening, for example, but it'll still conflict with Epic Balmora Redo and Balmirak, and probably Beautiful Cities of Morrowind, just as well. Though I haven't tested that, so I can't say for sure. Anyway, in addition, this modern reworking improves the interior lighting, making it more atmospheric, overhauls the entrance, and generally improves the layout of the interior to make it easier to navigate, while also fixing some interior pieces with grid snapping that apparently weren't properly aligned before. It also adds compatibility for MacComm's heads for the NPC staff here, which, by the way, have a ton of special companion features, with each one providing a unique service, such as serving meals, dancing, or providing an armed escort, to help protect you in combat. They also have unique dialogue and come with a ring that allows you to summon any of them at a moment's notice. Obviously, they come with Grumpy's companion scripting, and this was, just at the time, one of the big revolutionary features, back when this mod first came out. But anyway, Domehome is just an absolute classic and a nice, just a bit of modding history. And if you want to check it out for yourself, this modernized re-release is just a good place to start. Moving on, for our gameplay mod of the month, we have class abilities, Danae's edits by Balathustrius and Danae. A modernization of an old classic, class abilities, is it's a mod we showcased way back in the 15th episode of Morrowind Modding Showcases. Originally released in 2008, class abilities added a variety of new abilities, once-a-day powers, and starting equipment depending on what kind of class you chose during the character generation process. These abilities, powers, and equipment were dependent on just what kind of profession you chose, and it could really make a huge difference in how you start the game, giving you additional bonuses and some skills, extremely useful daily powers that could make a big difference just early on, and a little bit of gear to just help you on your way. Class abilities is it's one of those mods I've regularly recommended for new players as just a way of making it easier to get into Morrowind, because it does really help to make the game a bit more, fun early on. This modern edit of class abilities mostly keeps the mods in it intact, and instead focuses on just balancing the mod here, tweaking various powers and abilities for some of the classes that may have been just a tad too overpowered originally, and also improving compatibility by making it possible to choose your profession from any god instead of the captain in Seedier when you go to get your release fee. This makes it so that class abilities will now work with just every character generation mod out there, and let's face it, a lot of us do have some kind of Trojan mod installed just to skip the intro sequence, so this is just extremely useful. There's been a few other minor edits here and there, but this is just an excellent, albeit very minor improvement on an already excellent mod, and one I would highly recommend checking out. And next up, we have our dungeon/town mod of the month, and this time around, we have even Seedier 8 plates by Lucevar and Djangos. And I know this doesn't quite match the category here, but I am trying to add a bit of, just a bit of a variety in terms of mods by different mod authors, and again, there's not a huge number of people who modernize old mods, but anyway, we've showcased this fairly recently for the mod of the day, and basically, this is an overhaul and modernization of the 2008 original, the CD plates by Djangos. That mod aimed to make the 8 plates tavern in Balmora feel a little more atmospheric and moody by adding animated patrons sitting at the bars, or playing a lute, or visually talking amongst themselves, or just stumbling around drunk, as the case may be. This included a new and unique dialogue for each bar patron, and it changed up the lighting a bit, but it didn't really, change the layout of the interior at all. And that's where this modern re-release comes in here, because Lucevar has used singular talents at interior design to give the 8 plates just a much needed boost in feeling like an actual tavern. And now there's additional tables for dining and drinking, an upper level balcony and mezzanine utilizing just a nice bit of verticality, a cozy and well-stocked kitchen, and there's even an actual set of 8 plates on the wall, for the tavern's name, with a Thieves Guild quest to try and steal them. Without question, this is just a fantastic modernization and expansion on the original mod, and absolutely just makes the 8 plates into a unique tavern that's well worth checking out for yourself here. But anyway, for our items mod of the month, we're taking a look at Shinies by Gawain, Melchior, Dahrk, Merlord, and Danae. Now, I'm not sure if this one exactly matches our theme here, but, I'd say it's pretty close. Basically, it combines a variety of gemstone mods, like Gawain's More Gems, Luminars, a whole new shade of glass, W3's runestones, and Melchior's Pearls Enhanced. Changes them up a bit and adds just a number of new features, so it isn't exactly a redone mod, so much as it is a modernization and combination of 4 separate mods into one new mod, that adds a ton of shiny gems, glass, runestones, and pearls to, the game for you to loot. We've actually showcased Gawain's More Gems back in episode 48 from the long gone days of 2016. And the big alterations here largely have to do with compatibility, removing changes to some vanilla game locations while adding some loot to specific dungeons and particularly well-to-do homes. So, thieves have something more to look forward to here. And removing changes to vanilla gemstones and making it so that each new gemstone is an ingredient instead of a miscellaneous item like in the original mod. In addition, this comes with MWSE support, though as a note, MWSE is not required, and with this MWSE version, there's a chance that Daedra will drop runestones, including those added by mods. Upper class NPCs might carry gemstones, again, including those added by mods, and chests of gold will have a chance to carry gemstones instead. There's quite a bit here, and this is just a fantastic modernization and compilation of a set of older mods that make looting, and alchemy for that matter, just a lot more interesting. After all, you can never have too much shiny loot, so if you're like me and can't resist hoarding gemstones, this is just a great mod to check out here. Moving on to our quest mod of the month, we have Rise of House Telvanni 2.0 by Mord. One of the greatest quest mods from Morrowind of all time, Rise of House Telvanni just perfectly embodies the spirit of today's theme, because it's a mod that has been modernized and redone by just a number of modders over the years. It was first conceived of by Pozo, released in 2003, picked up by Carpig, 777 in 2006 for bug fixing, and massively expanded by BHL in 2009, who also last updated the mod in 2015. And now we have this, just yet another revision and update released in 2020 by Mord. As most of you doubtless already know, Rise of House Telvanni gives you just an extended questline that takes place after you become the head of Great House Telvanni, allowing you to dictate the direction of the house, oversee the expansion of the Telvanni, and potentially the subduing of other factions on Vardenfell. But as for what this 2020 release does, well, it cleans up a lot of the dialogue, it makes a lot of that same dialogue more lore-friendly, and generally improves the mod to better meet the modding standards of today. After all, it is a mod that, at its heart, was conceived of in 2003, and modding styles have changed a fair bit since then. Wacky assets and item usage just aren't as well regarded these days, but anyway, this also fixes up a few scripts, and generally, this is just currently the best version of Rise of House Telvanni, out there. And next up, we have our NPC mod of the month, which this time around is Ashlander Traders, Remastered by Brother Juniper, edits by Lucevar. Another mod originally released in 2003, Ashlander Traders adds 3 caravans of Ashlanders that will just to pop up in Balmora, Saran, or Aldrun on various days, setting up merchant stalls and selling wares on the street, as you can see here. This renewed version has made the mod compatible with a variety of popular, town expansions, like Dahrk's of Saran, Kilkunda's Balmora, and beautiful cities of Morrowind, which, also has a compatibility patch for it. Otherwise, though, this 2020 update cleans up the unique dialogue for each of the new NPCs, adds some additional dialogue, improves the merchant inventories, and also adds in 7 new Ashlander traders that you can find in various other towns like Morgan, Cole, and the various Ashlander camps. The original mod was a pretty neat addition to the game world, due to the fact that the caravans change cities on a regular basis. It helped to make the world feel a bit more alive, And this update just, improves on that by fixing up the original, and adding even more just Ashlander merchants to the game. For our new Meshes and Textures mod of the month, we're showing off Aesthesia Groundcover Reworked by Ramiros, Ritella, and Revenor. Now, this mod seeks to answer the age-old question of whether to use Ramiros' Groundcover or Aesthesia Groundcover in your game by combining aspects of both. I mean, I'm not sure if it's actually, an age-old question if they were both released in 2019, and likewise, I'm not sure if this really matches the theme of today's episode. Can you modernize a mod that was released only 2 years ago? But anyway, a point is, this reworks the meshes for Aesthesia Groundcover, basically optimizing textures and making some technical fixes to the grass meshes, but it also adds in the small mushrooms and rocks found in Ramiros' Groundcover, seamlessly blending them with the grass models of Aesthesia Groundcover to make for a more dynamic landscape, and also adding in the unique grass for Terry-built Grey Meadows region from Ramiros' Groundcover. This reworking includes groundcover for just every region in the game, including the Terry-built mainland and even the, the preview areas. Well, maybe not exactly fitting the theme of today's episode. It's still just, it's a really nice groundcover mod to, just check out for yourself. But anyway, moving on to our mod's resource mod of the month, we're highlighting ST Alchemy by Stuporstar. This is technically a modified version of Shry's Alchemy, another mod that was originally released in 2003. Shry's Alchemy was a major expansion of alchemical ingredients in the base game, adding a couple of dozen new ingredients to the game here. It was elected into the Planet Elder Scrolls Hall of Fame in 2006, and that was in the early to mid-2000s, just one of the most popular alchemical mods from Morrowind, and a permanent part of my own, personal save game at the time. But, anyway, ST Alchemy is an updated version of Shry's Alchemy, replacing and upgrading the assets used, since, as you'll note, Shry's Alchemy was released in 2003, so the original assets are a little dated. It also provides a light version of Shry's Alchemy that doesn't affect Morrowind's vanilla ingredients, and doesn't heavily, alter as many level loot lists. But what makes this a mod's resource here is that ST Alchemy also adds in new ingredients and flora containers, and the base mod here, with the, the new assets, can be used as a mod's resource, as stated by the mod author. Whether you use it as a resource or as an updated version of Shry's Alchemy, though, it's still just, still a great mod that's worth checking out. Next up, for our underrated mod of the month, we have Rebalanced Tombs Expanded by Spangy, and I don't think I pronounced that correctly, so I do apologize, but anyway. Released back in 2004, the original Tombs Expanded mod by Zobator was one of the first randomly generated mods for Morrowind, and often considered to be one of the best in that particular field, randomly generated dungeon mods. It expanded each tomb in the vanilla game with up to 6 new dungeon levels, and added a ton of new undead creatures for you to fight. We showcased the original mod way back in episode 10 in the, in the bygone days of 2014. But anyway, this modernization basically keeps the core elements of Zobator's Tombs Expanded, but it rebalances the loot, which, due to their randomly generated nature, had a tendency to be a bit overpowering and unbalanced in the original mod. In addition, this mod also adds in some new content to the dungeons, and also improves compatibility for loot well earned and sepulchral curses, as well as making Tombs Expanded compatible with Morrowind 5.2, but of course there's been a few updates since 5.2, so no telling if it's still compatible with 5.4. But if you're a fan of old school, dungeon delving, or the original Tombs Expanded, you might want to just check out this Modernized update. But moving on to our Blast from the Past mod of the month, we're taking a look at PC Clothier Balmora by Amike and Zobator. Another mod that we've showcased before, PC Clothier Balmora, is, well, it's a mod we actually featured way back in episode 7. One of the very first mods that we showcased. In fact, released in 2004, it's a rather ancient mod with a rather unique concept, allowing you to buy and manage a clothing shop, stocking up on clothing wares with random NPC customers coming in to purchase just a variety of clothing goods. You could hire an assistant to, help you and manage the store when you're away. And this was just a really, really unique and one of the first and only mods of its kind. There really haven't been many mods like this since, so even today, in 2021, it stands out as a unique classic. This new 2.0 update basically cleans the mod, which was a bit dirty before, updates the interior of the shop, adding more detailing and other new additions, includes improved customer AI, plus, customers will now have a greater variety of outfits, instead of all wearing, only a limited set of clothing, and any clothing made by your assistant will now just be directly deposited into a storage chest, instead of having to do that, that bit yourself. Obviously, the original 2004 mod was a bit buggy, and this 2020 update is just the best way to experience this unique classic, and I'd really recommend at least giving it a try. It is, it is a classic for a reason. But anyway, finally, for our last mod today, we have our bonus mod of the month, which this time around is Atmospheric Southwall Cornerclub by Balathustrius and Random Pal. Another mod that we've showcased just quite recently for the mod of the day. Atmospheric Southwall Cornerclub is an update and modernization of the original Southwall Den of Iniquity mod by Balathustrius, first released back around 2009. Den of Iniquity basically overhauls the Southwall Cornerclub, turning it into an actual club, hides the Thieves Guild, so you wouldn't be able to find them just out in the open, and also added in a series of dungeons and quests involving a large underground war between the Thieves Guild and the Kimono Tong, just beneath Balmora. This 2020 update by Random Pal basically gets rid of all that excess content, namely the dungeons and the warring factions and all that, and just keeps the changes to the Southwall itself, fixing and replacing NPC animations for the bar patrons, drummers, and all that, improves the mod for better performance, and changes a few other things like updating assets and all that. For those who want a mod that simply improves one of the game's vanilla taverns and Thieves Guild hideouts and doesn't do anything else, this 2020 update might just be for you. But that's it for today. As always, down links are just down below. And real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to our patrons, including Area 5/Sunbalmeen, Kiwi, Cyprinius, Danae, Daliant, Yame, Alcazo, Castornau, Langastier, Macbone, Melchior Dog, Knock Cascade, Old Navy Twidget, Operator Jack, Port Hughes, Hoviholo, Rissaleaf, Circuit Cat, Stiffkitten, Telvanni with 1,000 nicknames, and 2 Timing Trauma Root, If you'd like to join them, check out our rewards, including early access, behind-the-scenes content, and access to polls to just decide what kind of content we showcase. Visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/MorrowindModding. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.